Dearly departed, this shit is fucking awesome. Something I've noticed a lot in media lately is the rise of death comedy. And by that I mean the genre of media that has humans and ghosts interacting with each other on a day-to-day basis. This concept isn't new by any means at all, but there has been a sudden rise of it in recent years. Think of examples such as Haunted Hotel on Netflix, The Ghost of Molly McGee on Disney, and Ghosts on whatever the fuck channel that's on. However, there is one piece of death comedy media that's come out that is not only completely free, but is also severely underrated and came out 10 years ago. And it's called Obituary. Created by Michael and Zara Barrett and released on Belated Media's YouTube channel, Obituary follows a young girl named June, who's recently joined a new school and is struggling to make friends. But what has all the kids making faces at her? Well, it may have to do with the fact that she lives in a mortuary and talks to ghosts. Let me explain. The pilot opens up on a somber note. A young June has just lost her pet rabbit and is burying it with her parents in a graveyard. June laments on how she yearns for her bunny companion's passing, and her parents give her the important life lesson that eventually everyone and everything will die. A nice little family moment, a strong message to start the pilot off with, which is then completely undercut by June's parents being eviscerated by a satellite. Flash forward 10 years, and June is about to head to her first day of school and is getting ready for the day. She chats with what sounds like a roommate of some kind on the other side of the door, only for June to open it and reveal that her entire house is full of ghosts. As a concept, this was actually fairly unique for the time. A lighthearted kids comedy with dark undertones on how the afterlife interacts with the living, it was very interesting stuff. A living person trying to manage an entire family of ghosts after the unnecessarily tragic death of their parents is an interesting setup for a lot of different antics and storylines. And also the crazy opportunity to explore how the world of the ghost works and how it interacts with the living world. The rest of the pilot brings June to school while her ghost family sits bored at home without June to entertain them. So they go to June's school to go ask her what to do without her and begin to cause trouble for June. Meanwhile, June is being outcast, getting called a and witnessing a child smoke, all while she is introduced to Daisy, Violet, and Lisa Rose, aka the Flowers. Typical mean girl posse type trope in any type of media, and they make one of the most out-of-pocket comments about June's outfit that I think I've ever heard in my life.
What? Is that some sort of overly sentimental necklace from your dead parents?
Basically, the conversation ends with Lisa Rose threatening to make June's life a nightmare since she denied her request to trade her lip gloss for her family heirloom. Hard to believe, I know. And after a jump cut of a long day at school and June scolding her ghost family for making her sound insane for talking to thin air, she stumbles upon Blatzy, a young boy with a gland problem who energetically befriends June. Once home, June introduces Blatzy to her ghostly family, and the stage for the cartoon is set. One thing I really noticed about this was just how good the animation is, and I eventually found out that this was animated by Studio Yada, who are the same people who worked on the Sonic Mania opening sequence, which funnily enough, they were probably working on that around the same time they were working on this, which I think is kind of hilarious. So what's the point in covering this pilot? It's 10 years old and no one's heard of it since then. Except you're wrong and shut up. After attempting to pitch this pilot out to a bunch of different major studios, the creators thought, hey, why don't we just do it ourselves? And they did. Obituary became a webtoon for the longest time, and actually the latest episode just came out last October in 2025. But then after accruing a certain amount of comics, the creators decided, hey, let's run a Kickstarter to get 2 physical volumes of a book printed for Obituary, which I backed, and I am now the proud owner of both of those books. And my name is actually in the book if you look for it under the supporter section. I think. I haven't checked yet, but I'm pretty sure it's there. But there's another reason why I wanted to bring this pilot up after so many years of it being out. Something that Obituary does very well is set up a world of realism surrounding the story of a young girl raised by the dead and tormented by the legacy of living in a mortuary. People make up stories about her, tease her, and even throw things at her because, in their words,
she's different and I don't know her. That frightens and upsets me.
Something that I think is super important about Obituary and death comedy as a genre as a whole is that it discusses the idea of something living, dying, and moving on. And I think that that is a huge lesson that a lot of cartoons really don't talk about. And even back then, they really didn't either. A lot of shows kind of just talk about if you work hard enough and you do what you want to do, it will always work out, you'll get what you want, and we get the happy ending. But life isn't always like that, and it's not always as simple as cartoons make it out to be. Sometimes life is random and aggressive for absolutely no reason, and I feel like these shows do a really good job at portraying that. Now, I'm not saying modern media will never talk about death, but it's usually in one of those flashback scenarios or it happened off-screen scenarios, so we never really get to interact with it face to face. Or it's one of those, she's dead, she's alive, and there is no lesson learned at all. But what I think is super ballsy is when a cartoon geared for children embraces the ideas and philosophies of death and talks about it directly. Yes, death is incredibly scary and is not a fun topic at parties. Trust me, I know. But it is important to learn and accept the lessons of death before it becomes too late. This genre makes us confront the inevitable truth that we are all going to die, which means we need to make the best of this situation and do all the things that we want and yearn for here while we're still here. Not only that, but learning the lessons of those who lived and died before us so that we don't doom to repeat history, which is something we're doing a fantastic job of right now. Absolutely stellar performance on our part on how well we're really learning from history right now. Co-creator of Obituary, Michael Barrett, has said that the point of having the ghosts in the show is to give historical and personal context for whatever adventures June might encounter, helping her or hindering her in whatever happens to come her way. It's about legacy. Does what I do now impact my life here or forever in the future? What is my message and the memory of me that I'm going to leave behind for people to remember or see in the future? Which I honestly think is an incredibly powerful message for a kid's show, and I kind of love it. Having a message like this really puts the entire world of this show and all of its characters into perspective. Will someone go crazy from trying to do something show-stopping and preserve their legacy forever, or will they overcome their fears of trying to run their life perfectly because in the end it won't matter anyway? The possibilities with this type of storytelling could go on and on and on. The Flowers swear at the end of the pilot to make sure June's life is completely miserable for absolutely no reason other than the fact that June was the only one to tell Lisa Rose no. Lisa Rose even says directly to June,
Turning down this lip gloss was the biggest mistake of your life.
It all really ties back to that message of, is this really worth it? Do I really want to do this? Am I about to spend precious seconds of my life trying to make somebody else's life miserable while doing nothing with mine? It really hones in on what matters in life, being kind, family, friends, connections, adventures, and what really doesn't, like being a dickhead over lip gloss. This also kind of got me thinking about how ghosts in the afterlife work in the real world. Do I think that ghosts are real? Honestly, yeah, I think they are. But I also think that they are very much like the wind. We don't really get to interact with them very much, and when we do, it's very rare. I think with enough energy or kinetic force, a ghost could interact with the world either by showing themselves for a little bit of time or knocking something over. That would also explain why we hear like voices in those radio stations, why random objects might crack or fall over for no reason, or why sometimes we'll see like spectral forms for absolutely no reason. Again, I really think it just comes down to the fact that we know nothing about how the ghost world works, and sometimes the lines between our world and theirs just cross. And apparently scientists are starting to prove that when you die, your soul gets transferred into another universe and you basically just start over, which I think is really cool, and I think that that's really relieving to hear. But that also brings into the question, is that how the Mandela effect started? I don't know, that's a whole separate rabbit hole that I'm not going to get into in this video. Obituary holds a special place for me, and not only because of its art style, character design, writing, and morals, but also its heart and the care and passion that is ever so clearly spread across the entire project, and it is absolutely wonderful. Please support this series. It is available on Webtoon. They also have an official website that I will put in the description. Please go, please like, please follow it. The books that I bought are actually still available on their website. Like, they have like a bunch that you can purchase from their website of Volume 1 and Volume 2. So please make sure to go over to that website and go buy those books and support them. I'm not asking, I'm begging. But anyway, that's all I've got for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, hype the video, share it around, do whatever you need to do. Make sure to comment, and I'll see you all in the next one. And remember, tomorrow is another day.